Hello everyone, welcome back to a new ranking on this channel. I thought, you know what, since I'm still doing these rankings and I've seen the movie recently in theaters, or at least recently with the terms of recording, I thought, let's rank the Indiana Jones franchise. Well guys, listen, I bought a collection of the first 4 movies to rank this series and then rewatched the Dial of Destiny in theaters for it, so yeah, lucky you guys, I guess. I hope you guys are gonna like this ranking. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'm gonna say this up front again, and let's just get started because I'm gonna piss so many of you off. Trust me. Coming in number 5 is Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Well, look, this movie has everything wrong in modern cinema. A plot that feels like it's made up as it goes along. A story that completely shits all over the ending of the previous film, as well as the legacy of our main hero in general. An unlikable and absolute despicable protagonist, our main hero being shot in the background for most of the film to make way for an unlikable and absolutely despicable female protagonist. Horrendous de-aging effects. Tedious action sequences that put me to sleep more than they excite me. An ending that makes it feel like nothing was fucking accomplished. Side characters that do absolutely nothing but pad out the runtime. Dear God, there's really nothing, and I mean nothing redeemable in this damn movie. Guys, I won't lie, I saw it a second time for this ranking because I originally liked this film before seeing the others, and it was even worse the second time. And to all people trying to convince me that it's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, oh you guys wait, I have something to say about it in a few minutes, trust me. In closing, Helena, fuck you. May an army of devils send you to the fiery hell, you fucking bitch. Coming in number 4, and it's not that I don't want it here, but it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Well, look, for all of you who absolutely adore this movie and defend this movie and say it's your favorite, here's the thing. You always use the same things to defend it. Okay, you use the darker tone, the scary as hell villains, the minecart chase over the lava, that awesome bridge scene, you betrayed Shiva scene, the hearts being ripped out, the people burning alive in the lava, and all that cool dark shit that's in the movie. Well, every time I heard those defenses, I've said to myself, those people are right. All that shit is awesome, so why don't I like this movie as much as Raiders Crusade or the Crystal Skull? Guys, literally everything you like in this movie and defend it for is in the second half of it. The first half of this film fucking sucks. You have an opening scene that is only memorable because Indiana Jones stepped into an episode of Looney Tunes. Seriously. Ouchie was so cartoonish, you might as well have Elmer Fudd dubbing his voice. You keep the girl, I found a nana. Yeah, it's really this ridiculous. Then it's non-stop boredom for like the next 45 minutes until we get to the temple and all the cool shit happens. Everything leading up to the temple is just a slog. And don't get me wrong, the second half of this movie is awesome as hell and entirely badass and goes reward your patience tenfold. But dear God, that was a lot of patience to be had. And if you're wondering why I haven't ripped into Willy yet, jeez, or in English. Let's just be fair here. Willy can be annoying, but after suffering through Helena, yo, Willy, we're good, man. If anything, you are a step up no one as far as I'm concerned. So I'm sorry, but as much as I enjoyed Temple of Doom, at the end is just half as a good movie to me. Coming number 3 is Indiana Jones, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So we finally arrived at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The movie I see at most people's list at the bottom, even after Dial of Destiny's release, which I frankly find quite sad. I'm going to spend a little extra time on this one because I wanted to talk about it for a little while, but before we do that, let's talk about the things I won't be defending. I may love Ray Winstone, but the movie felt like it couldn't figure out what to do with him. He is entirely he's entertaining at times, but the double agent, oh wait, I lied, I'm not a double agent thing, felt awkward as hell. There are some moments of CGI that don't hold up too well. In some moments you look at the screen and think, how the hell are you not dead? The surviving a nuclear bomb in the fridge scene was beyond stupid. I don't care if the fridge was laid down in a line. His body would have been jello just based on the length he was thrown from the blast. Although, to be fair, this shot of Indiana Jones looking at the mushroom cloud is pretty fucking awesome. Lastly, Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys. Yeah, that's pretty dumb. That being said though, there is a lot more to like in this movie than there is to hate. Going back to what I said, saying about the fridge scene, yeah, surviving that is impossible. Guess what? So is surviving falling off a cliff in a fucking tank. So is that stooping ass rap scene. So is Willie being so close to the lava in Temple of Doom and not burning to a cinder. And I'm sorry, but if you have this constructed radius a bit, you can find even more impossible shit Indiana survives at this point. This is absolutely nothing new to the series, but what's okay about it is that these moments are few and far between and are used incredibly sparingly if they were happening, say, every 5 minutes like a Fast and the Furious. And I have an issue, but to me, as dumb as the fridge scene is, and it is, it's not worse than any of the other implausible shit Indiana survived at this point. I mean, hell, it could have been worse. You could have had him getting shot multiple times at 80 years old and taking each shot like a light breeze. Jeez, dude, at least say ow sometimes. A lot of people like to complain about, oh, aliens have no place in Indiana Jones. Hearsay, I say. So, you people are really gonna tell me that in a world where Indy can survive all this dumb shit, in a world where time travel now exists, in a world where Christianity, Judaism and Hinduism are all the right religion, in a world where people could have their hearts ripped out and still survive somehow, in a world where a black woman works for the Nazis, and that was just that stupid, but aliens are a step too far. I really like how they tied the aliens or crystal skulls together. Crystal skulls are a real thing they have been discovering around the world. No one knows the origins, and the time they were found, one of the theories behind them was aliens. So I thought it was clever of George Lucas to use something that actually exists in the real world to tie in this new mythology, very much like he did in the first 3 films. He didn't have to make up some stupid ass dial created by Archimedes or some shit, like these new assholes did. Also, I know a lot of people like to complain about the look of the aliens in this film. I would have them other way. All the Indiana Jones movies have been inspired by old school action movies, serials. Well, if you are setting this tone in the 50s, it makes more sense to go with the 50s Roswell approach and portray aliens how they were thought to look like in the 50s. This is how we portrayed aliens back then, so having them designed like that here and in a movie inspired by B-movies of that time period makes perfect sense. In terms of story, this feels like a classic Indiana Jones movie. We have an awesome opening scene where we learn that the warehouse of Raiders is actually Area 51, which was pretty cool, and Indy gets to be Indy this time around, kicking ass and fighting the bad guys, and by the way, they didn't need to use horrendous de-aging effects to make it work, either. The plot constantly builds up on itself and leading to the climax. There is some kick-ass action, a fight through the Amazon, a fun motorcycle chase, a lot of globetrotting and treasure hunting. This is the kind of shit I see an Indiana Jones movie for, and especially finding the ending of Indiana finding happiness with the Marion, by far the best female protagonist in the franchise. And I even find the relationship of Mupp being his son with Marion is also a nice touch. Mupp gets a lot of shit, but he's actually a damn good character overall, and yes, I do buy him as Indiana Jones' son. Look at Indiana's relation with his father in Last Crusade, where the two of them... do they have the same personality? No, but you still felt the dynamic. There was enough similarities and differences where you could buy they were father and son, and I feel the same way regarding Indiana Jones and Mutt. Much is throughout the movie to be smart, quick, on his feet, and sometimes hot-headed like Indiana Jones, but is also independent and no nonsense and impetuous. Much like Marion. If you ask me, he is the perfect embodiment of both parents, and Shia LaBeouf does a fine job in the role. So, as a whole, despite the things that don't work, Crystal Skull is a damn solid movie. Coming number 2 is Indiana Jones, The Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is the film that gave us Indiana Jones for the first time, and it was nothing short of glorious. Raiders has arguably the best opening scene of the franchise. It is probably the grittiest of the series, and I mean, you really feel every punch this guy is getting, and that's really something else I wanna touch upon. What made Indiana so cool, and especially in those first 4 movies, was that he was vulnerable. He could get hurt. In fact, he gets his ass kicked in a lot of these movies, especially in this one, because in the end of the day, he is an archaeologist. He isn't an MMA fighter. It really makes the character feel more human. It's very much like what Dyer did for John McClane. But what makes Raiders stand out as a film isn't just the vulnerability of a hero, it's the perfect shot action scenes, the glorious practical effects, the best female companion of the series and who is I consider the best Indiana Jones villain, Baylock, played by Paul motherfucking Freeman. This guy just owns it whenever he's on screen. Paul Freeman was a superb actor, and for the record, this was not the only villain of his I watched during my childhood. Belloc is essentially a dark mayor of Indiana himself. He does everything Indy does, but for himself as opposed to preserving history. This ultimately becomes his downfall when he can't resist doing the Ark ritual and gets himself and the rest of the Nazis killed. And really, that leads me to why this movie is a number 2 and not a number 1. And I'm getting much shit for this. I have never liked the ending of this movie. Indy does nothing, and I mean nothing, in the entire climax of the film, and it feels beyond anticlimactic. Don't get me wrong, it's memorable, you won't forget the ending once you've seen it, but I wish Indy had more to do. When all was said and done, I mean, what bearing did he have on the outcome of this story? If he hadn't been there, the Nazis would have stolen the medallion from Marion, found the Ark in the right place, opened the Ark and died just like they did in the movie. I'm sorry, but that's a serious flaw with this movie, guys. It doesn't make it any less iconic or awesome, but it's a flaw that should be acknowledged as such. Regardless how you look at it though, Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the most iconic kick-ass action films of all time, and for a good reason. Coming in number 1, you probably guessed it by now, is Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. From the day I first watched this movie, which is literally 2 weeks ago, but still, it was instantly one of my favorites of the franchise. Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, in my opinion, took just all about everything Raiders did and made it better. The MacGuffin was more interesting, Indy plays a more significant role in the story and its outcome, the stakes are higher with Indy's father's life on the line. By the end, this felt like a more personal character-driven movie for Indiana Jones, and for my money it makes the movie more interesting. Now, I will admit that the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark is better, but the opening here is still great, showcasing how Indy at a young age became the Indiana Jones we all know and love. I also say that Davok is a little more interesting than Donovan, but where Donovan excels is in the climax when he shoots Indy's father, which forces Indy to do whatever he wants. Indy can refuse to get the Grail, but it would mean his father's dead. It's what makes Donovan stand out. He cannot fight you, but he can outthink you. I love how high the stakes are in this climax, and I love the trials Indy has to go through to get the Grail to save his father's life. The Knight, the Word of God, the Leap of Faith hits all awesome. I also say that Mary Ravenwood is still my favorite female companion in this film. Dr. Schneider was still pretty damn cool, but the best thing about this movie is the dynamic between Indy and his father, played by the OG James Bond himself, Sean Connery. I don't care if they were only 12 years apart in age in real life. I totally buy that Indiana Jones' father is James fucking Bond. That is awesome. And the chemistry between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is wonderful. You buy their relationship and you buy their dynamic, and these two are hilarious together. The Don't Call Me Junior scene cracks me up every damn time. But probably the best scene with these two was when his father saves him at the end, simply by calling him Indiana. He spends his whole life looking for the grill, but at the end he realizes that the thing he valued most was his son. It's so powerful when he tells Indy to just let it go after so many years of searching for the damn thing. It's such a beautiful moment. The action is the best in the series, the cast is the most well-rounded of the series, the score is the best of the series, and in my opinion it fuses Harrison Ford's best portrayal of the title character. Now, in case you couldn't tell from all the defending I did for it, I do like Crystal Skull, but had the series ended here, had it ended with Last Crusade, with them all riding into the sunset, I'd be perfectly content. Well guys, that's it. I hope you guys like my ranking from the Indiana Jones franchise. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. And I will see you guys in the next movie. Tot volgende week!